Alright, I am back with another Destiny 2 video. First time back on camera in a little while. We just got finished with the Act 2 live stream from Bungie about Echoes. I was kind of surprised they were doing an Act 2 live stream, but there was a good amount of stuff to talk about actually. So we'll go through it here. I'll try to go in order here based on what was discussed. Might not get to everything, but the kind of main beats here. Speaking of beats, the... I forget, I think they said episode 2 story, not act 2. When episode 2 rolls around, they are going to experiment with dropping all the story beats at once. I'm a little confused. I think this is episode 2 and they're going to do it per act. And I don't think this is starting with act 2. In any case, to some extent, whether it's per act or per episode, I think it's per act, they are going to start putting all the story beats in at once so you don't have to time gate the story as much. Right now it is 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. There's 9 of those total, it seems. And that's been a little bit of a strange setup. It feels like the existing seasonal story structure, but with more time gating. Obviously, this runs the risk of going in the opposite direction where people beat the story beats immediately and then complain that there's nothing to do for the next 3 weeks or 6 weeks rather until the next act launches. I get that that's a risk. I'm not 100% convinced that this is the right path. I know a lot of people were complaining about this. I know that there was maybe some expectation this was how acts were going to work, that you drop the whole act at once and then you could, that was playing at your own pace. If you wanted to space it out, you could. If you wanted to beat it all at once, you could. But you're right. It does leave a lot of downtime, and I don't know. I think the 3 week on, 3 week off thing is kind of hard to get used to, but I'm not opposed to it being broken up over 3 weeks. But like, given this is my job, I got to play everything all at once, and you're going to beat that in a couple hours, maybe. So I don't know. I'm curious what the overall community reaction is going to be with that, because it is something a lot of people wanted, but is it the best thing for the story? I don't know. We only heard a very little bit about the story. Pretty much along the lines of things start out more lighthearted and jokey with, seeing failsafe again, but things are going to take a turn toward the dark, and we got a little taste of that with Saint and his existential crisis. We didn't learn anything about the identity of the conductor, which everyone thinks is Maya Sundaresh at this point. But we're going to go kind of down the Nessus rabbit hole, quite literally, in fact. Before we get to Nessus, they said that we are going to briefly revisit one of Destiny 2's most storied locations. I don't precisely know what that means. I'm trying to think of what would qualify as a story location. My first thought was Vault of Glass, because you associate the Vex with the Vault of Glass as the most story location, but we have the raid there in the game. We've had other story missions in the Vault of Glass, so I don't think it's that. I feel like it could be something we don't have yet from Destiny 1, which I'm not 100% sure what that would be, or something that was vaulted in Destiny 2. I don't know, we'll see. They're not bringing back a destination, obviously, but we may have a mission that takes place somewhere else. The biggest news probably of this whole thing is that they promised they were bringing new activities, and guess what? They are brand new activities. Well, it's an old kind of activity, but it's brand new in the sense that there are 3 new battlegrounds. I was wondering if they were just going to expand on the current activities, which is, what's it called? Breach, Override? I don't know. The Vex one, that's pretty bare bones, existing patrol space in Nessus, collecting the farming mineral things, samples, and then the one time trial race. My worst case scenario was maybe they would add a second time trial race. No, they're not doing that. This is very significant content. It's not just that there are 3 battlegrounds coming, it's the fact that they're being described as almost strikes. It's a really interesting format because they're all on Nessus, and the plot, there's actual plot, where the plot of the battlegrounds are that they take place all in a row. So where you end the first battleground, we'll start the second one. And then the second one ends, you start the third one. You're going deeper and deeper into the core of Nessus, and you're trying to track the flow of where Radiolarian is being drained to. And this is sort of part of uncovering the mystery of what's going on here and what the conductor is doing with apparently a shit ton of Radiolarian. That's a neat idea, and they did talk about how I think it's at least either just halfway through the first one or second one, they're doing all new Nessus geometry, so some of it takes place in old spaces. Most of the old Battlegrounds took place in entirely old spaces outside of a few arenas here and there. They had like the one boss room that was shared, but that's another thing. There is no one singular boss level variant. They said there are 3 unique bosses for this, including one that has quote unquote the largest health pool I've placed on a boss ever. That was from the activities designer. So that's interesting. I mean, obviously, it depends on level scaling and stuff, but I think that's one with no gating or invisibility gating at all, which is interesting. And this is also, these Battlegrounds are also coming with the arrival of new weapons. They showcased the solar sidearm we knew was coming, which can have Heal Clip Incandescent, the famed solar combo there. It can also have Pugilist Demolitionist, I think, and since you're racking up so many kills with that, could be good. They had a arc pulse rifle that looked really cool. All these weapon designs are awesome. Apparently this can run do volt shot eddy current. Someone told me eddy current got buffed. Is that a real thing? They lowered the time you needed to get the benefits, so when you are amplified you always have them, no need to sprint. Basic amplify 60 reload, and that helps with volt shot. Volt shot makes you amplified on arc or prismatic. Okay, that's cool. I'll get that roll. That sounds pretty good. Oh, sorry, I'll craft that roll. Yeah, what else am I gonna do? So that is, and then we get Perfect Paradox, the singular Season of Dawn weapon that's coming this season. We have Martyr's Retribution coming next act. We are not getting Steel Feather Repeater. I guess they couldn't slide that one in there. Is that the only one that I don't have from Season of the Dawn? I don't remember any others, but I could be forgetting. At least we have Breachlight. That's all that matters, just Breachlight. Also, besides that, I did miss one story thing. Sorry, I'm just reading my own tweet thread, so I was live tweeting this. One more aspect of the story in all these Battlegrounds and the Vex plotline, they are disconnecting some Vex from the hive mind in this story to act as individuals. I would argue that this has been the single biggest story problem with the Vex this entire time in Destiny. Not just Destiny 2, Destiny 1 too, where it's hard to make compelling stories surrounding the Vex because they're just sort of this nebulous force of destruction. And yeah, sure, I can buy the idea that they're the most dangerous race technically, and their creation of the dark future and whatever, but only rarely do we get sort of personal Vex stories like the Lakshmi 2 thing. And then that appears to be that's what they're trying to do now here with the Conductor, create an actual central Vex villain that will talk to us like a normal villain, I'm assuming. It's probably Maya Cinderesh, but whatever. I'm excited for this aspect of story development because I think this is one of the biggest things that the Vex have been lacking this whole time. What else? Okay. So they're adding a new row of artifact perks, which we knew. That is along the bottom, not a column. I definitely knew that from the beginning. They are almost exclusively centered on sniper rifles and solar damage. So it is, sniper rifles are anti-barrier. Solar swans can scorch targets. You can make your explosions from scorch ignition bigger. And there's some sort of sniper rifle stacking damage or reload or something thing at the end where you have to sacrifice a lot of other things on this thing to go pure sniper rifle, because I don't think you get any more assignments, so you're gonna have to delete a bunch of other stuff. But if we're doing solar sniper rifles, that is obviously Still Hunt, the one that just launched. That is an extremely powerful weapon. And then when they were doing the playthrough of Battlegrounds, they were using Whisper of the Worm, obviously a big heavy weapon and one that benefits from this greatly, not just in terms of eruption application, but it benefits more from the sniper rifle bonuses as heavy than the others. Oh, and they reduced flinch by 50% in PvE. That is very big. It is very annoying to use sniper rifles in PvE most of the time because of that flinch. So that sounds like a huge buff to PvE snipers. They talked a little bit about some other PvE buffs, not a ton, but they're buffing Tex Mechanica, like speed load scout rifles by 30%. So that includes both things like Dead Man's Tale, the one from the dungeon I can't remember the name of, and then the seasonal one. There's the seasonal one right now that's solar. You can do incandescent on that, and that will be buffed too. Dead Man's Tale, especially, that may be pretty good because that also obviously gets the 40% red bar buff, and now it's being buffed by 30%. These are supposed to be the highest damage scout rifles in the game now. What else did they talk about buffs? Ariana's Vow is getting buffs to have like a 67% damage buff or something. I think it's supposed to like two-shot all barrier shields in everything. Even Grandmasters, so that gives it more utility over other anti-barrier stuff. I'm assuming the damage thing applies to everything, so, get out your Ariana's Vow. They did not really talk about Solstice. They said it's going to happen in Act 2. I don't think it's launching with Act 2. I'm pretty sure. I think that's in August. They showed off the armor sets, which are based on adventuring, a lot of leather jackets and things. I don't know. It's a little hard to tell with concept art. Solstice armor is generally really good, and I think they've kind of done the same theme a million times at this point, so I'm not opposed to them kind of going down this new route. Called it Restoration Hardware Solstice armor, but that is the gist of it. They talked about some other balance things. Some PvE hunter annoyances will be nerfed, and then it's pouring now here. I don't know if that's showing up on mic. And then they are taking away, what is it, the Cascade Point Envious Assassin grenade launcher thing. I saw Salty Greppo was very excited about that because, of course, that's his takeaway from the whole thing. I'm guessing that's, big deal for endgame boss DPS. But generally speaking, I'm impressed with this. This is a lot more than I was expecting from, new activities in Act 2. I didn't know if that was just going to like add more maps to something else, but 3 new battlegrounds and ones that sound significantly improved over past battlegrounds as these do. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how I feel about the weapon gating thing. Like, I get it. Like, there's something to go for, but we'll see. Also, in terms of the story stacking, I've never really been a person that says you need to stack all of the story at once. I just thought it was a little weird to do the 3-on, 3-off thing in the new episodic structure. It is going to be a little strange to log in every week and not really have a new story beat if you finish them all day 1, day 2, week 1. But we'll see how it goes. If everyone loves it, sure. If not, they'll probably just change it back. Act 3, they didn't talk about it at all. We know we're getting some sort of big exotic quest there. I'm assuming the story continues then. I'm not sure exactly what will happen with new activities added then. They are adding another row of artifact perks and some more weapons. I don't know. I will be a little bit surprised if Act 3 is as significant as this one outside of the exotic quest. That seems like that's definitely going to be the main draw, as they've already hyped that up as being one of the biggest exotic quests they've ever done. I think the exotic's been data mined. I don't know. I haven't looked at it, so don't talk about it. So I'm impressed. I think this was solid. I don't know if I'm still convinced the act structure is meaningfully better than the seasonal structure, because we are getting more stuff, but don't forget we're also losing a whole season here, and they're spaced out. There is a little bit more dead time because we're doing 3 episodes as opposed to 4 seasons, so you do expect a little more. But still, I think this was a solid showing. I'm not disappointed by anything here, and I'm looking forward to playing in, is it a week? It's a week, right? Not 2 weeks. Anyway, I will log in now and see if anything actually changed, and when nothing changed, I will go back to playing the first Ascended. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.